What's the weirdest habit you've witnessed in a friend's kitchen? They had a stick of salted butter that they left out at room temperature on a butter plate. The butter plate had no lid. The cat would lick it regularly and they would still use it. In my own home, I have a filtered water spigot on my sink for drinking water. My cat learned that there was fresh, tasty water that could be licked from the tip. Gross! It now has a funnel threaded onto it and the tip is a solid 2 inches up and out of reach. However, I forever don't trust water spigots in any other home with a cat, because I'm sure this is not an isolated incident. I know someone who throws away almost nothing. Which wouldn't be a terrible habit if it didn't mean offering you the moldy lemon that has been sitting on the counter for God only knows how long because God forbid she just cut a new lemon. Tomatoes, peppers, anything. I try not to eat there. She is very well off and has never been poor. I don't think her parents were incredibly wealthy, but they were at least middle class, but she has this hoarder mindset especially around food. Also she refuses to use chef's knives and cooks exclusively with steak knives. I was friends with a family that had 6 kids. The parents made everyone drink a full glass of milk with every meal, including guests. They would set out a gallon of milk on the table each meal, and it would just sit there until it was all gone, even if it took longer than one meal. I've always hated drinking milk, but those experiences really finished it off for me. I recently thought about it after finding one of my toddler's old milk cups hidden in his room. The smell really took me back. This was my friend visiting my kitchen. Now mind you, I've OCD. She didn't know and I don't know if she did if it would change this behavior. When she would come over she'd put her purse on our kitchen table, the same purse I'd seen out on the floor of countless bars, then sit down and pick her nails on it like the gunk underneath her nails and flick it on the table. She'd wipe it up to the floor when they finished. She did this every time. It grossed me because this is where we ate. This is actually something common, but I find it really gross that people use sponges to clean their kitchens. Like, I don't care how well you clean it out and try to sanitize it, its job is to literally pick up dirt and grime and suck it inside itself. There's a reason they're not allowed in food service settings. Dishcloths are cheap and washable each time you dirty them. I don't really understand why anyone uses a sponge in the first place. Someone who does convince me. Lol. I watched my coworker wash his potatoes with dish soap. Squirted the soap straight onto the potato, rubbed it all over with his bare hands, rinsed it, started chopping it. Threw the chopped, unpeeled, soapy potatoes into a pot. Boiled them, mashed them without adding anything to them, then for some reason, picked the skin out of the pot of mash with his bare hands. No milk, cream, butter, salt, anything. Tasted like a sad, soapy pile of compost. My ex-boyfriend's parents used to buy Astroglide lubricant in bulk, think Costco-sized containers of lube, and would for some reason leave it on their kitchen table. And it's not like they lived alone at the time, all 4 of their kids still lived at home. I didn't date their son long enough to know if this was a consistent habit or if they just accidentally left it there a few times, but it was pretty horrifying nonetheless. I knew somebody who used a sponge to clean their dishes that looked a good year too old. It smelled like you would expect. Also a not so uncommon thing I notice in a lot of people's homes is putting dishes in the sink with food still on in them and letting them sit like that for days. Throw away whatever you don't eat or put it in the garbage disposal and fucking rinse off the dishes after you're done. How hard is it? A bunch of us were hanging out at our mate's place while his parents were out of town. We get hungry so he offers to make grilled cheese. He pulls out the cheese and I shit you not, I thought it was a block of butter carved into a skate park half pipe. We watched incredulously as he scooped the knife along the top in a semicircle motion. We all burst out laughing and he's like, "What? That's how mom does it." La la la. Not a friend's kitchen, but my mom thinks it's weird that my husband and I use a Sharpie to date everything that goes in the fridge pretty much. The expiration best by date is affected by when it was opened, but it also helps us realize when something has been in there longer than we realize and should either be used up or thrown out. Shredded cheese? Gets an open date written. Lunch meat? Yep. My childhood best friend's dad had a coffee mug which was filthy and black inside. I asked about it and they said he doesn't wash it because it preserves the flavor. On a side note, I ate large dog biscuits with that same friend because we were explicitly told not to, and we were just rebels like that. Fighting the man, one gigantic dog biscuit at a time. I'm not a friend, but I was a Tupperware lady in the 90s. I got to the woman's house to set up for her party and she was in the kitchen talking to me. I see her grab the kitchen towel, wipe her dog's bottom with it, and she says to me she's on her period. Then she went back to making her sushi rolls and kept using the same towel. Instead of using napkins or paper towels, A dish towel was used to clean their hands while eating. I don't remember clearly, but I hope they were assigned and changed out at least daily. I asked for a napkin and my friend was at a loss for how to deal with the situation. He had to scramble to find some old takeout napkins. My friend cleans her mushrooms off with wet wipes. We used to get together and make dinner when we were younger and I've never been more shocked at such unnecessary waste. When I asked why she didn't use a sink, she said she did. After cleaning them with the wet wipes. Her excuse was that the sink didn't get them clean enough. Friend bought their dream home. Multi-million dollars, on the water, etc., etc. Walked into the most beautiful kitchen to find every single cupboard, drawer, shelf space, counter space, appliance, switch plate, every fucking thing labeled with a Dymo label. Must have spent hundreds of dollars on vinyl Dymo labels. My mother-in-law has no sense of meal planning. She seems to think that coleslaw is an appropriate side dish for everything. Getting a plate of spaghetti or lasagna? She'll put a container of coleslaw on the table as a side. Or she'll ask if you want a bowl of cowboy beans that she just cooked up. Old roommate used to cook her pasta like this very small pot for a lot of pasta. Fill the pot with pasta, add cold water just to cover it and then put it on the stove to heat. She did not salt the pasta either. Plus she overcooked it to a degree where it broke by being touched by a fork. The guy I went out with in high school's dad had, I swear to God, an entire wall stacked with Coca-Cola 12 packs. Must have been 8 by 8 feet. No one was allowed to drink any of the cans though, except for him. If we wanted Coke we had to drink from the stale 2-liter in the fridge. My sister's friends reused water bottles. I mean they refilled the water bottles and put them back in the fridge like they were new. At one point my sister realized the top wasn't opening like a new bottle. But that wasn't how she found out. She spotted lipstick on the top. Ew. Keeping the water running at full speed while doing other tasks. As in for minutes. Not to achieve a certain temperature. And getting mad when I'd turn it off and passive-aggressively turning it back on after I'd said it was wasteful and made me uncomfy. Ron and hell Kimberly. My friend's mom asked if we wanted a popsicle. And my friend his little sister got excited and both yelled yes please. It was Kool-Aid frozen in ice cube trays with half a toothpick sticking out. I couldn't afford real popsicles either, so it was a weird treat. I've seen one friend dump the entire basket of coffee grounds down the drain instead of emptying it in the garbage first. And my sil throws the whole tea bag, label and all, into the mug, every time. Beastly. Edit clarified that she throws the tea bag label in. Hoarder paid me to bury a cat. Turns out, the cat liked to sleep in a pot in the oven, which was for whatever reason usually left open. She closed it up and turned the oven on without checking. Damn, that place was horrifying. I knew a family that had 2 full kitchens. Yet they used the dishwasher to store bakeware. Everyone had to wash dishes by hand instead. I get it if you're short on storage or don't have a dishwasher, but space was not an issue here. Maybe I'm weird, but going over to my best friend's house as a teen they would make their sandwiches and eat things like chips directly on the countertops. No paper towel or plate. It was a clean house, but still grosses me out. I was helping a friend clean up her apartment after Scuba had moved out. It was pretty dirty once we got all her stuff out. I was cleaning her fridge and she said she didn't know you could take all the shelves out and wash them. My best friend's mom has 2 drawers with 2 similar, but not identical, sets of silverware. When you do the dishes you have to carefully sort the silverware back into the appropriate spot. Also, she owns 117 cups. I counted. Not a friend but a roommate. He would open a yogurt, eat 1 spoonful and then put the yogurt and spoon in the fridge open. He did that with all kinds of food. At one point the entire fridge was just that. Talking to an American friend in the kitchen as he threw together a pretty good bolognese sauce. 2 minutes before serving he added about a half bottle of ketchup and more sugar than I'd eat in a week. Refusing to wash their cast iron because soap ruins it. Wretch, it was visibly moldy and disgusting. It's not the 1800s anymore, you can put soap on your cast iron, and if you don't you're nasty. Friend of mine growing up had me over for family dinner spaghetti. When everyone 5-6 of us total were done, the mom scraped all the uneaten spaghetti on everyone's plate back into the big pot. My friend's father cooks pasta the following way. In the morning put the pasta in a pan and cover it with water. In the evening, put pasta on the hob and bring to a simmer for half an hour to 45 minutes. Letting their cat eat food, and drink water on the kitchen bench. Also, allowing the cats and dogs to lick their dirty plates clean. Safe to say I do not eat or drink whilst in that house. Cut up raw meat using bare hands, then opened drawers, cabinets, and the fridge before washing their hands. When she asked if I wanted to do weekly meal prep with her, I politely declined. No one was allowed to brush their teeth in the bathroom sink, or wash their hands in it either. You had to wash your hands in the bathtub and brush your teeth in the kitchen sink. My old roommate would take a coffee cup from the night before with old coffee and milk in it and make a new one in the morning without dumping the old coffee out first. The dishcloth used once only. Do the dishes, wipe down the stove top, counters, cupboard fronts, and throw in the bin and get a new one. Must cost a lot. My friend was boiling noodles and threw a noodle at the wall, and when I asked him what it was about, he said it was to test if the noodles were ready. Their Shih Tzu started sharding all over the place. They grabbed the dog and washed him in the sink and then didn't clean or sanitize it afterwards. My ex-Phil thought traditional spaghetti with meat sauce was too spicy, so he would make noodles and top them with ground beef and ketchup. My friend's mom would eat raw beef every time she was cooking with it. This was 30 years ago and she's still alive and in great health. Lol. Glock in the fridge, not sure if it would mess things up, but I guess if shit went down that's probably the last place people would look. My mom witnessed a distant friend empty her child's potty into the kitchen sink. Needless to say, we never ate there ever again. Found out a friend uses the same sponge to clean his kitchenware, cat bowls in the dustbin filter on the cordless vacuum. Someone cracking eggs, then putting the shells back in the egg container and into the fridge. So much contamination. Eating chicken medium rare. Blood. Also, they left food out on the table instead of refrigerator eating.